In this video, we discuss odometer, speedometer failure on the 99 Camry. And there's several other cars it might affect too. Come along. Okay, at the moment, everything seems to be normal, and I will try to catch the speedometer, odometer acting up should it act up. We are currently on our way over to the electronics repair shop that I have friends to solder in the ceramic oscillator, which seems to be the most common cause of this problem, with the odometer failing and speedometer failing, and in which case causes the transmission to not know where it's at and shift erratically. So if I can catch it failing, I will try to grab my camera and take a quick shot of it, and but in the meantime, we'll be back hopefully at the electronic shop next time we come back. Alright, well, I was unable to catch it in failure mode at the moment because I was driving, and now I'm at a traffic light. But the what begins to happen is your odometer will flicker and the speedometer begins to jump all over the place erratically, and then with a few seconds it completely goes out. I talked to my electronics repair guy. He is not comfortable being filmed in his shop, and I totally respect and honor that, and but I can show you the repair. I have another speedometer head that I can disassemble after we get this one apart and fixed, and I can show you what we did to repair it, and what you can do. Take it to an electronic shop and have somebody solder this piece in if you do not have the equipment to do so. So we will be back, and probably the next time we come back I will show you that it is working, and I will disassemble and show you the process to get into the speedometer head to replace the part. So we'll be back. Okay, well, we are at the electronics shop, and I think I mentioned that he was not comfortable with any filming, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But they have soldered it in, and when we get home I will disassemble the other speedometer head I have, and I will show you exactly the component that needs to be installed, and I will give you the part number and the store online that I bought it from. So let's go test it. If it lasts all the way home, I will feel confident that it is repaired. So we'll be back. All right, we are here with the used unit I bought from the junkyard, and I'm afraid that it has the exact same problem as the one in the car did. And then, of course, that is where the odometer goes out and the speedometer goes out, and then the transmission acts erratic. And I will take a quick second and I'll explain to you why that happens. The speedometer signal comes from the transmission vehicle speed sensor, and it comes into the back through this connector here, one of these ports, and feeds your the signal to the speedometer. From here, the connector has an output, and it goes over into your PCM, your powertrain control module, which controls engine and your transmission, which also affects when the transmission shifts. It looks at how much acceleration you're giving it, several different things, and it controls when and how it shifts. So if it loses the vehicle speed signal coming from the transmission through this gauge, it doesn't know where it's at, and it will shift erratic. There was one day I was driving it, and I had 5 neutrals. I was able to slow down, put it into neutral, let the car come almost to a complete stop, then put it back into gear, and was able to proceed on, and I was able to nurse it back home. I stopped driving it after that point because I'm not sure. I don't think it will damage the transmission, but I don't want to take that chance. So let's get into this. Let's go ahead and we'll get into what we need to do to disassemble this, and I can show you exactly what component is in the back that is bad. Alright, let's get into disassembly of the gauge cluster. I will give you a quick tutorial in a few minutes on how to actually remove this from the car. It's pretty simple, all things considered. Just a few screws and a few clips to get to your bezel off. But anyway, there's a clear lens across the front, and if you can see, let me bring it up close where you can see, you have push pins or push locks right there. All you need to do is press down on those and pull it slightly forward. Just go all the way around, pressing and pulling forward gently. And there it goes, it's starting to come out. And then you have some on the bottom, where you can see, push. That one's starting to come out. That one seems to be broken. And let's see, get that last one. And the lens comes off. Back up just a little bit. Alright, now that you have your lens off, the same process, you need to take this black bezel off, okay? But you have to be careful. I don't know if you can see that. Let me turn it sideways. This, of course, is your stem for your trip. It is pretty fragile, and so you'll want to be careful when you're taking this off. After you remove this bezel, right now it won't touch it, but once you remove this bezel, this piece will be easily bent or broken. And it's the same process for removing this black piece. Push these tabs down and pull out slightly. I don't think I've had this one apart yet, so it may be a little stubborn. It's beginning to come. There we go. There it comes. It's not really difficult. Sometimes it might help if you have an extra set of hands, okay? But as far as this, what I did was just hold it in the past, but you can see it likes to lay on that stem, and if you aren't careful, you'll bend or break that stem. So just hold it, probably your best bet. And all it takes is these 5 screws that are directly on the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are directly behind the speedometer cluster. I'm pull out my Leatherman, get out the Phillips head screw. Screw gun makes this go a little faster. But it's just a matter of these 5 screws. Once you get them broke loose, they'll generally come right out by hand. You can already feel the speedometer bouncing around. You see how I have my hand gently over it to keep it from just falling out, because once you get those screws out, she comes right out. Nothing to it. Alright, let's lay that out of the way. Now, you get it flipped around here where you can see. Alright, let's take turn that off. Let's get closer. Alright. Don't know that I'll be able to zoom in. There we go, we're getting it. Alright, that little bitty blue football bulb looking item is the component that you're looking for. Okay, now let me back up. Kind of give you it's kind of tucked up in there, okay, but if you take it to an electronics shop, flip it around here, you can see it's these 3 posts. 1, 2, 3. Those 3 posts right there. Alright, now let me get one out of the bag and I will show you what one looks like. These parts came from a company online called DigiKey. Alright, DigiKey sells all kind of electronic components. These were 69 cents a piece. I just ordered a bag of 10 of them, just in case we had an issue with getting it in and maybe damaged it, and we would have a replacement. And I have several people I know that have these cars, so if they have this failure again, I know what to do. So, alright, let me bring this in close. It's a really tiny little part, and what I'm told it's called, well, come on, it does not want to fire. There we go. Alright, and it's got three, it's hard to tell, there we go, three little prongs right on the end, okay, that insert through that board. Alright, now let's see if I can get you the part number, and I will put this part number in the description. But the part number is that ZTT-4 number. ZTT-4.00 MG. Okay, and it's called a ceramic resistor. And I do not, since I'm not an electronics person, do not ask me to try to identify what all that is. I think that's 4 megahertz, and I think it's called 30 picofarad. I don't know that. Like I said, I'm not an electronics person. I did a ton of research on this to find this problem out. I read several different forums in order to find this out. I spent a great deal of time researching this problem out, and I found it on a repair forum for the Toyota Camry, and it took me a long time to research it out. There was an electrical engineer that got involved with this that had one of these cars, and he figured out exactly what was wrong and what was going on. He gave the part number, and he gave exactly what to do to repair this. So I wanted to video it because I looked and looked and looked, and there is no video on this out there, and this seems to be a common problem. And basically all they'll ever tell you to do is just pull your gauge cluster out, send it to an electronic shop, and have it repaired. Well, you can order this part, go to a local electronics repair shop. Most electronic repair shops know how to solder and get components off of a circuit board and back onto a circuit board. This is 69 cents. It cost me more to have it shipped than it did for the part. Like I said, I ordered 10 of them at 69 cents a piece, and I think I paid $7 for the shipping. But anyway, you negotiate with your local electronic shop. Somebody you know can solder something on and off a circuit board. Negotiate that price in with them. Put your dash cluster back in. Mine has worked flawlessly, and before it would go out within 2 to 3 miles. You'd crank the car up, you'd have it, drive it 2 or 3 miles, it would begin to warm up, or it'd do whatever it would do internally electronically and fail, and then it would go out and my transmission would start shifting weird. So there you go. Well, I've got a couple of more things I want to bring up, and this might affect several other lines of vehicles. So we're going to get into that, and y'all hang on, and let me get that information, and I'll be right back. I went back in and I found the information that I had found earlier, okay? And let me tell you right now what I do know, okay? And that is for the 1997 through 2001 Camry with the 4-cylinder and automatic transmission. This is your fix if your speedometer and the odometer are inoperative. The odometer is blanked out and the speedometer does not move, okay? If all you have is your speedometer does not move but your odometer is still there, well, your problem is going to be your vehicle speed sensor more than likely. But you have to have both conditions for this to be the problem and for this to resolve your problem. If you're driving down the road, when you initially start out in the vehicle, it has the odometer and it has the speedometer, and then it begins to flicker and go away. This is more than likely your problem, okay? Now, I'm going to speculate. I'm going to speculate on some vehicles that you might look into this, because this could potentially be your problem, okay? If you have those two same symptoms and you have them on the Avalon from 95 to 99, if you have, and according to what I'm reading here, it could go back on the Toyota Camry all the way back to 92 and could go until 2004, okay? But I know on this series 97 through this generation, 97 to 2001, that this is the problem, okay? If you have a Toyota Celica 94 to 2005, this could be your problem. The Corolla 92 to 99, a RAV4 2001 to 2005, a Solara 1999 to 2005, and finally, if you have a Geo Prism, Chevrolet Geo Prism from the years 93 all the way to 2002, this could potentially be your problem. What I would do is, if I had one of those other vehicles that I named there, I would remove the gauge cluster and I would look at the back of this speedometer head and see if it has the same style ceramic little blue football looking bulb inside of the speedometer. If it does, that is likely what your problem is, what you're having a problem with. What I know about Toyota is, once they engineer and design something, I've seen them do this for years, is they may use that same design over a whole range of their products. They save money by doing that, and they find something that works and they will use it over, like I said, several different lines. So if you have this problem, remove your gauge cluster, like I said, take it apart like I did here, and look and see if that little component is in there. If it is, that's likely your problem. So, okay, the process for putting this back together is pretty simple. You can see right there, there's a dowel pin. Oh, I'm getting in the shot, that would help. Right there's a dowel pin, and right there's a dowel pin. And you've got little holes that it'll line up with. Just carefully put your hand over it. And take your 5 screws, start them by hand, and gently thread it back in. Pretty precision, so it lines up really good. Not much to it. Alright. Of course, you take your screwdriver and you will tighten these up. I'm only going to tighten one because I am eventually going to have this back apart. But you make sure that you tighten all 5 screws. Don't get carried away. This is all plastic, and this is ribbon. It's got copper thread, running through it. So you don't, let me tighten this one up too. You don't want to get carried away and damage or break your circuit board or one of your printed circuits. So, all right, put the cover back on. You line your trip screw back up and just drop it back down on there. Give it a little squeeze. You heard it pop. You heard it snap. Pop them back in place. And carefully line that back up. There we go. Give it a drop, make sure your stem's coming through the hole. Line all the little holes back up. And that's all there is to it. You put it back in the car. Now quickly I will go out and I will show you exactly how you get it out of the car. Alright, well, let's move the steering wheel just a tad. Kind of hard to film. There is your bezel right here. I've already got mine loose. There is a screw here, and there will be a Phillips head screw here. Okay, there are retaining clips on either end right here. There's a retaining clip, and there's a retaining clip on this end by the clock. This is where you have to put a plastic trim prying tool and gently wiggle it back and forth and pry this piece out, and then come down here and you'll have to pry this out a little more, and you'll grab it at the bottom down here and you'll pull and tug, and then grab it at the top and pull and tug, and you just have to keep going back and forth, round and round, gently pulling and prying. Mine came out pretty easily. Get it pulled up out of there and out of the way. Get where I can show you the tab on this end. I'll put a better light for you. There we go. The tab on this end actually broke off, and I was using regular, just gentle prying force. And you are dealing with 20-year-old plastic on some of these cars, so sometimes things break. It'll go back in, it'll be fine. There's about 5 or 6 other places that it attaches. It'll sit in there and it'll be fine. You won't even know it. So now, once that's out, you've got 4 screws that hold it in. You have one on the bottom left corner, and you have these 2 white arms that stick up at the top that hold it in, and those are Phillips head screws. And you have one more, use my hand, one more right there at the bottom. Alright, and to actually physically take the cluster out, I'll do this one-handed, it's going to be fun. You peel it up at the bottom and rotate the cluster out. Okay, and once it's rotated out, I'll put the steering wheel down, that'll help. Once you have it rotated out, you'll stand it up. Just like that. Then you can come up here and I'll get my hand on it, and then there's a little blue tab right there. You push the button down and simply pull. Your connector will come right out, and there are 3 of them. One on each end and one in the middle. And just start, what you'll do is with it standing up here like this, you'll start at the top, the next one, and then go to the bottom one, and then your harness will be disconnected, and then you can lift your cluster right out of here. To put the cluster back in, you'll lay it on its back, slide it in, and then you will begin, where you can see, you lay it on its back and slide it in, and gently rotate the cluster into place. Put your screws back in, bring your panel here back in place, slide it over, try to line everything back up, and start gently pushing back in to re-engage all your clips and locks and screws. You have to put 2 screws back in up here at the top. Hey, if you've ever had this problem before, leave a comment in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget the notification bell so you can see when we put up more videos on DIY stuff here in the Real World Garage. Here are some now.